Okay, so we're on number 47 here. My goal is to get done with this thing so you guys can work on this thing tomorrow.
Did we also cross off 21 and 22?
Yes, we did. 21 and 22, 45 and 46. I think that was it. I think the rest of them I'm having you guys do. All right, so we're up to number 47, okay? Now, if I gave you something like this, if I give you this right here, x minus 4 squared plus y plus 3 squared equals 100, you should be able to look at this and say, oh man, the answer, the center and the radius of this is, what would the center of this be?
4.
4,
3.
not 3, negative 3, and the radius would be what? 10. Where'd 10 come from? Square root of 100, okay? That should be real easy to tell opposite square root. That's what I said last week. Opposite square root. So, when you look at number 47, I would suggest this. If you've already written down, it's okay, but if you haven't written it down, don't write it down yet, okay? And don't erase it if you wrote it down. Okay? I'm going to write it down, but you don't need to. You guys know what the center of this thing is? It's okay to say it. It's really okay to say it. I don't either. I honestly don't know what the center is. I really don't know what the center is, okay? Because it's not in that form. So we're going to put it in that form. So I told you not to write it down because as soon as you write it down, you know what we're going to do? We're going to rewrite it. So here's what you want to do. We want to write down our x's first. Let's put down x squared and then negative 4x. And then leave a space. Leave a little bit of space. A space for one term. Okay, so I'm just going to put a little blank right here, okay? Then I'm going to write plus y squared plus 6y, and then leave a space. And then I'm going to have equals 36. How did that equals 36? I didn't show my steps here. Where did that equals 36 come from? Add 36 to each side. Okay. So, now, what goes in those blanks? That's what we got to figure out. And we did this in Algebra 2. I'm sure you probably forgot it, though, because we didn't spend a whole lot of time on it. And it's been well over a year since we've done this. We're going to complete the square. Okay. What you do is you take this number and you do two things to it. You chop it in half, and then you square it. So I'm going to show my work here. I'm going to take negative 4, cut it in half, that's negative 2, and then you square it. Okay? So positive 4 goes in here. Now, when you complete the square, you're literally making it a square. This right here, it's kind of like this. If I give you 9, we all know 9's a square. It's 3 squared. If I gave you this, it's kind of weird, but is that a square? Is 20 plus 5 a square?
Yeah.
Sure, it's what squared? It's 25, which is what squared? 5 squared. It doesn't look like it. If I gave you this right here, 98 plus 2, is that a square? Sure, it's 100, which is 10 squared, okay? This is a square now, okay? Now, we're going to do the same thing here. Any idea what number is going to go in this spot? We're going to complete the square a second time. Remember, we took this number, cut it in half, and then we squared it. So what number is going to go right there? 9. How'd you get 9?
3 divided by 2.
Where'd you get 3 from?
6 divided by 2.
Right.
3.
Right, so if I showed my work, you don't have to show your work. I just want to make sure you understand later on where this comes from. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Square it, and you get 9. Now, if you're sitting there going, well, you could just add those numbers in there. It's going to change things. Well, whatever you do to one side, do to the other. We added 4 and 9 here, so I'm going to put plus 4 and 9 here. Could you just add 13? You can. I don't care. Okay. All right. So this is now a square. Okay. So here's what you do. We write something squared. And you always put x right here. Okay. And again, I taught you this in Algebra 2, but you might have forgot it. It's been a while. We didn't spend a whole lot of time on it even then. And then what goes next to the x? Half this number. What's half of minus 4? Minus 2. What you need to understand is this is this. X, and I'll prove it to you. X minus 2 squared means x minus 2 times x minus 2. If we FOIL that out, we have x squared minus 2x minus 2x plus 4. X squared minus 4x plus 4. That's what we have right there.
So all we did was make it in a way where we factor both x and y?
Uh-huh. What we're basically doing is we're making this look like that. Okay? So, plus, this is a square. So we put something squared. I said we always put x. We don't always put x. In this case, we put y. And what's going to come after the y?
3.
Positive 3. Half of plus 6 is plus 3. If I FOIL out y plus 3 times y plus 3, you know what you get? Y squared plus 6y plus 9. Okay? Equals 49. 36 plus 40 plus 9. It's 49. I asked this 5 minutes ago and ask it now. Do you know the center and the radius now?
Yeah.
The center is what? 2, negative 3, radius is 7. I'm sorry. It's not in that form, so we put it in that form. Okay? I honestly didn't know what the center was here. I had no idea what the center was. I didn't know what the radius was. So we put it in that form. We do that by completing the square a couple of times. This is what I was talking about. This class is like Algebra 2 on steroids. You learned completing the square in Algebra 2. Here we completed the square twice. We never did a problem like this, but we did do completing the square. Okay, number 49. I'm not going to write the original problem down. I'm going to write x squared. There is no x, and I tell you what, I'm not going to leave a space here. And the reason is, we did that because we wanted to complete the square. How do I complete the square? How do I make that a square? How do I make x squared a square? Why? How do you know that? X squared. It already is a square. It's like saying, how do you make 100 a square? It already is a square. It's 10 squared. This is a square. Okay? Plus y squared plus 4y. I am going to leave a space here, equals what? 117. We move that negative 117 to the other side, it turns into positive 117. Okay? What's going to go in this box right here? Or not that little slot. What goes next to that 4y? 4. How'd you get 4?
Go the same way we got the rest of
Which was what? What did I do with 4? I did two things to it.
2 squared.
Divide by 2, that's 2. Square it. So plus 4. So I got to put plus 4 on this side also. Okay? Just put x squared plus this is now a square. So write something squared. What goes here first? Y? Well, y in this case. We already have the x squared. Okay? And then what goes next to the y? Positive 2. Equals 121. Okay? And again, this sounds weird here. What am I adding on or subtracting off from the x? From the x, not from the x squared. What am I adding or subtracting from x? Nothing. So I put what? 0. 0 what? Negative 2. What's the radius? 11. Square root of 121 is 11. 11 times 11. Okay? 51. This is where it starts getting a little tricky. It's a little trickier here, okay? Let's write down what we've been doing. Let's put down 2x squared. What am I going to put after 2x squared? Am I going to write 2y squared? Or not? No, I'm going to write what?
Negative
12x. Okay, then I'm going to leave a space. Okay. Then I'm going to put 2y squared. Then 4y plus 4y. Leave a space. Equals 15. Okay. Now, I don't believe I taught you this in Algebra 2 because you didn't need to know it back in Algebra 2, but now you know. Now you need to know it. Okay? You might be thinking, well, don't I just take half of 12 and square it? What's different about this?
That's variable.
There's a variable on this one. This one.
There's a coefficient.
What about it?
There, I don't know.
Negative.
Not that.
Negative right there.
What's really different is the coefficient in front of the x squared and the y squared is not 1. Okay? Here it was just x squared. Here it was just y squared. Just x squared, just y squared. Here we have a 2x squared and a 2y squared. Okay? So here's what you got to do. You got to factor out the 2. So 2 times x squared minus 6x, leave a blank, plus, factor out the 2 here, so 2 times y squared plus 2y blank equals 15. That's not the tricky part yet.
You forgot parentheses.
What's that?
You forgot parentheses.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Actually, this isn't the tricky part yet. It's going to be in the next step. What's going to go in this one? number are we gonna put in that first slot?
Is it 3?
Well, not 3.
9.
Right, how'd you get 9?
We got divide by 2.
Divide what by 2?
6.
6 divided by 2 is 3, and then you have to square it and put plus 9. What's gonna go over here? Take 2, cut it in half, square it. And be careful, some students say, well, you cut it in half and then you times by 2. Don't cut it in half and times by 2. If you cut something in half and times by 2, you know what you got?
Same number.
You're back where you started, you're spinning your wheels, okay? Cut it in half is 1, square it, and you get 1. Here's where it's tricky, okay? So, I gotta put something over here. What do you think you're gonna put over here?
Plus 9 and 1.
Not 9 and 1. I know it looks like you added 9. You did not add 9, okay? You need to put plus 18 plus 2. I didn't add 9. We added what? 9 times 2. We didn't add 1. We added 1 times 2. That's what's tricky, okay? Why did I do it back there? Well, because did I really add 4 here? Yeah, I did, because I didn't factor anything out there, okay? So that's where it's tricky. We added 1, all right, we added 2, and we added 18. Okay, so we have 2, then we write something squared. X, and be careful here. What's half this number? And don't say 3. Negative 3, minus 3. Plus 2, something squared. We're going to put y, and what's half of plus 2? Plus 1, equals 15 and 18 and 2 is 30, 45. Okay. We got to do one more thing. Any idea what we're going to do now? I mean, we'll know the center, but we should do something else first. I mean, what's different about our answer right now?
The 2.
So what do we do? How do I get rid of those 2's?
11.
What?
You put it back in.
No, you don't want to put them back in. We don't want to. I don't really want them there.
You divide by 2.
Divide each side by 2. Divide by 2. Divide by 2. Divide by 2. Divide by 2. If we do that, we have x minus 3 squared plus y plus 1 squared, and 45 divided by 2 is 22.5. Do I want 22.5 or not? Let's just do this. What's the center? 3, negative 1, and the radius, how do I find the radius? The square root of, and let's just leave it at the square root of 22.5. I don't know if that's a nice number. Let's just leave it at the square root of 22.5. Yeah, that was a little bit tougher. That's a tougher one. Okay? I was thinking that's a nice number. 15 times 15 is 225. 25. No, I guess it's not a nice number. Okay, let's try a few more. 51. Okay, 53. 53. 2 more of these type. So I'm going to write x squared, then I'm going to put 4x, and I'm going to leave a space. And then I'm going to put y squared minus 2y, leave a space, equals negative 5. We move that positive 5 to the other side, make it negative 5. Okay, in this space we take half of 4 is 2, square, we put plus 4. Half of negative 2 is negative 1, negative 1 squared is positive 1. This is an interesting one, okay? This is a real short one, actually. Did I really add 4 and 1 or not?
Yeah.
Yes, I did. So I'll put plus 4, plus 1. Don't say it. Does anybody see why this is an interesting one? Don't say it if you see it. You see what's, okay. So over here, what's the center of this? I'm going to kind of give it away here. This quote unquote circle. Well, it's going to be x, then what? Plus 2 plus y minus 1 squared equals 0. What's the center of this quote-unquote circle? Negative 2, 1. What's the radius?
That's not.
Is it a circle? What is it? It's a point. You plot the point, -2, 1. And then if I draw a radius of 0, what else do I do? You're done. It's a point. It's not a circle. It's a dot. Okay? I mean, we did what we're supposed to. We didn't know that until we got to the end. But, yeah, you can't have a radius of 0. It's not a circle. All right? It's like if I told, Zach to stand up, and I told everybody to stand 5 feet away from him, we'd stand in a circle around him. If I told everybody to stand 0 feet away from him, we wouldn't be on top of you. We would be you. We would be you. Even if we're on top of you, we're not. We'd have to be you. Okay? All right, 55. X squared, then I'm going to put minus 2x. Leave space. Then plus y squared minus 8y. Leave space. Equals negative 19. Move that 19 to the other side. Okay, so in this one, half of negative 2 is negative 1, squared is positive 1. Half of negative 8 is negative 4. Square that and you get positive 16. So we added 1, we added 16. This one's even more interesting. So we're going to have something squared. We put x minus 1 squared plus something squared, y. Half of minus 8 is minus 4. Negative 19 plus 1 plus 16 is negative 2. The center is 1, 4. The radius, what's the radius? How do you find the radius? Square root of what? In one word, what's the square root of negative 2? It's imaginary, okay? So, I don't know what this thing looks like. You can't have an imaginary radius on a real, I don't know what this would look like. It ain't a circle though, okay? So where did we make our mistake at? We didn't, okay? So, you can't have an imaginary radius. Okay, the last one had no radius. This one has an imaginary radius, whatever the heck that is. Okay. All right, that was a 55? 57, okay. Find equations for the upper half, lower half, right half, and left half of the circle. 57 is going to be a really, really easy one, okay. So, it says, this is kind of like questions 31 and 33, if you remember those from a few days back. Kind of like those, but in reverse, okay. So, 57 has x squared plus y squared equals 36, is that what it says? Okay, so they want the upper half. Well, up and down is what variable?
Y.
The y. So we need to solve this for y. So what's the first thing we're going to do to get y by itself? Subtract what?
X squared.
So y squared equals 36 minus x squared. What's the last thing I have to do to get y by itself?
Divide.
Not divide. How do you get squares? Square root. Now, what are you supposed to put in front of this thing when you square root? Plus or minus. But we want the top half. Just the top half. So do I put plus or minus? I just put the plus. So the top is y equals radical 36 minus x squared. What do you think the bottom is going to be?
Y minus.
Y equals minus radical 36 minus x squared. Now they need to do the right and the left. Right and left, we're not going to solve for y. We're going to solve for x. And I think you do this in your head because of the same number, just the variables are different. For the right side, how do you think my equation is going to start out? X equals positive or negative if it's to the right? Positive radical what? 36 minus y squared. And what's the left side going to look like? X equals negative that. Okay, 2 more to go, and we're done for today. Okay. This one's going to take a little bit more work. A little bit. So we have x minus 2 squared plus y plus 1 squared Okay. So, let's do the top and bottom first, okay? So, we want to get y by itself. Any idea what we're going to do first to get y by itself? Subtract something. It's kind of a mouthful. Subtract what? Subtract x minus 2 squared. So if I do that, I have y plus 1 squared equals 49 minus x minus 2 squared. Okay. Then what? Not divide. Square root. Square root. This side, square root, that entire side. These cancel, so we have y plus 1 equals, you're supposed to put plus or minus, radical 49 minus x minus 2 squared. But we want, we're doing the top half first. Do I want plus or do I want minus? Top is plus, okay, so put plus. We have one more thing we have to do. Let's put the minus 1 in front. So y equals minus 1 plus radical 49 minus x minus 2 squared. What's the bottom going to be? I'm not going to show my work on the bottom.
Plus y.
It's going to be the same thing, but it's going to be y equals negative 1 minus radical 49 minus x minus 2 squared. Because it was plus or minus. Top is plus, bottom is minus. Now, see if we can challenge you guys on this one. For the right side. Okay. See if we can figure this. We're going to solve for x. Okay. So, see if we can do part of this in our head. Let's see if we can do a lot of it in our head. What are we going to get rid of first if we're going to want to get x by itself? We're going to minus this. So let's write down, how's my answer going to start out? X equals something, and we're going to have 49 minus y plus 1 squared. Once we get rid of that, what are we going to do? Square root it, plus or minus, but we're doing the right side, so which is it, plus or minus? Plus. And what's the last thing you have to get rid of to get x by itself? So put the 2 in front. For the right, the left side, it's going to be the same thing, but what? Minus?
Yeah.
2 minus radical 49 minus y plus 1 squared. Okay, last one, 61. Let's do an easy one. Okay, find the equation of the circle or the semicircle. Okay, hardest part of this is being able to count this. Jeez, it's really small. What does it look like the center of this is? 1, 2, 3. Is it negative 3, 3 or negative 3, 2?
Well, there's 2, 1.
Well, those are smudges, I think.
Yeah, I don't know which one.
I think
Well, which one looks like the center? I don't think it's negative 3, 3.
The bottom smudge looks more
Like the right one?
Yeah.
Doesn't it look like negative 3, 2? I think negative 3, 2 looks like the
Yeah.
center.
Yeah.
So let's put on the center is negative 3, 2. Center is negative 3, 2. And what's the radius? Easy way to find the radius is, how tall is this? I mean, count the hash marks from top to bottom or left to right. Either way, it doesn't matter.
9.
Count them again. I think it's 8. Pretty sure it's 8. 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I think it's 8, isn't it?
I don't know.
The highest it goes, the lowest it goes to is negative 2.
Yeah.
The highest it goes to is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, isn't it?
8.
You don't get to 7.
Is it a 7?
No, that's only 6, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4.
Does it count at the top of the circle?
Yeah. That top hash mark's only 6 of them up. It's not 7 of them up, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It don't get to 7.
Yeah, I was counting 0.
Don't count 0. So it's 6 above, 2 below, so 8. So the diameter is 8. So what's the radius?
Is it double or half?
Half. 4. Okay. All right. So what's our equation? What's the first thing I should put down? Not x. First thing. Parenthesis. Then what? X
Plus 3.
plus 3. Parenthesis.
Squared.
Squared. Good. Don't forget squared.
Plus.
Plus. Parenthesis.
Y minus 2.
Parenthesis squared equals No. The radius is 4.
So it's
16, because you square root it. You square root 16 to get to 4. Okay? All right, that one's done. Okay, so tomorrow and Wednesday will just be work day. Work day tomorrow, and then whatever you don't get done, you can do that on virtual Wednesday. So, anyhow, the rest of the time's yours, guys.